socks.
Wednesday morning, gotta make sure my attention.
I like that. Figure.
Okay, welcome ladies and gentlemen. This is the monthly meeting of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation. We're starting a little bit late under these temporary conditions. It is now 8:35 a.m. on November 18th, 2015. And with that, we are called to order. And since I did not ask in advance, do we have a board member who would like to open us with prayer?
I got you.
Go for it, Scott.
All right, please bow your heads. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us together today to discuss the business of the City of San Angelo. We ask that you give us your guidance in making decisions in our meeting today. Lord, I ask that you will be with the men and women families in Paris, to be with them during their time of sorrow. I pray that you'll be with our men and women in the military and in harm's way and overseas, bring them home to their families as safe as soon as possible. I also ask that it be thy will, you please bring our country some needed rain. We sure do need it. I ask all these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Scott. The next item on our agenda is the public comment period. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, which we do have. Begin by stating their name and limit remarks to less than 5 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items. And with that, we have a consent agenda. Items A through F. Has everyone had a chance to look those over? Any questions or concerns?
Move approval, consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second.
The motion?
John. Motion. No, second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a little dark.
And if I stutter and stammer today, I should have brought a headlight. But that's quite all right. We appreciate the changes that are happening with our audiovisual equipment. We have a motion and a second. Is there any public comments? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. We now move on to our regular agenda. Item 5A, consideration of approval to allocate $10,000 from the Affordable Housing Assistance Program, AHAP, to support the 2015 Reagan Neighborhood Blitz. And for that, we have Robert Salas, Director of Neighborhood and Family Services. Welcome.
Good morning, Board. We're here to ask for $10,000 from the Affordable Housing Assistance Program to help with our annual blitz. The extra funds will will help feed the troops. It'll provide some funds to pay for extra supplies and equipment. This is our 6th blitz so far, and we have rehabilitated 205 homes with new siding and new paint. Excuse me. We're targeting the Reagan neighborhood, and we plan on working on 40 homes this year. We're recommending, if you approve it, we're recommending using some of the funds we get back from the sale of the house that we foreclosed on Hudson Street. Those funds were not expected at the beginning of the year, and they are unallocated at this point. The total cost of the project is going to be about $213,000. We do use CDBG funds. Unfortunately, those are limited, and so we need a little bit extra to pay for the miscellaneous costs, which aren't covered through CDBG. We are partnering with Habitat for Humanity once again to provide the paint, and they will have volunteers to do the painting. And just to give you an idea of what kind of work we do, here's a couple of before and after pictures. So you can see this pretty bad siding, pretty bad house, and here's the after. You can see we're making an impact in the community, and this $10,000 will go a long way to helping us complete the annual blitz this year. And we're asking for approval.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any comment or consideration by the board? How about by the public? Then I will call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Another unanimous decision.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. Item 5B, public hearing on the allocation and incentive to Armando Martinez, doing business as Mrs. Rios Corn Products, in the amount of $5,500, and presentation by Business Retention Expansion Coordinator, Bob Schneeman. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you. Board may recall, this is just a public hearing. The board has already approved this project, and we've got the next thing coming up will be an agreement with Mr. Martinez that'll follow this. So I'll turn it over to you, John, if you want to open it up for public comment.
Okay. Do we have any comment from the public on this? I hear none. I see some gazing at the screen. Do we have a question?
No, I just had to change the sign.
Oh, okay. Very good. In the absence of public comment, anything else from the board? Okay, thank you very much for the presentation, Bob.
Thank you, sir.
Item 5C, consideration of authorizing the Coast DC Board President to execute an economic development rep performance agreement with Armando Martinez, doing business as Mrs. Rios Corn Products, in substantially the same form as the attached, in the amount of $5,500 in economic incentives. And we still have Bob.
Yes, sir. This is, again, the same project. It's for $5,500 to basically buy down an interest rate for some equipment financing. The performance measures required are Mr. Martinez is required to purchase $128,000 in equipment, finance 80% of that cost, which is $102,000. He needs to make that investment within 90 days of signing the agreement. He needs to retain 30 full-time employees for a period of 3 years in order to completely satisfy his requirement. The check will be made payable directly to his bank. This was approved by Costa DC on August 26, 2015, and ratified by City Council on September 15, 2015.
Okay.
And I believe you've got a copy, or in the packet, you had a copy of the agreement.
Yes.
Move approval of the agreement as attached.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Any other discussion from the board?
I second.
Not see.
Okay. With that, let's call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yet another unanimous decision. Public hearing on the allocation and incentive to Phil Skinner, doing business as The Sign Shop, in the amount of $7,000. Go ahead, Bob.
Again, this is very similar to the last two items. This is something that's already been approved by the board, already been approved by City Council. We are required to hold a public hearing before we expend any funds, so this would be the opportunity for the public to comment on this project.
Okay, do we have any public comment? Anything to be contributed by the board? Okay. This is not an actionable item at this point, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to 5E, consideration of authorizing the Costa DC Board President to execute an economic development rep performance agreement with Phil Skinner, doing business as The Sign Shop, in substantially the same form as the attached, in the amount of $7,000 economic incentives. Is this, okay, I see where we're going there. Pardon me for the temporary confusion. Again, Bob?
All right, thank you. This again is another BREP project. It's for purchase of some new silk screening equipment, automated silk screening equipment for Mr. Skinner, doing business as The Sign Shop or Best Texas Tees over on West Avenue N. The total cost of the equipment is going to be about $35,000. Costa DC has approved the expenditure of $7,000 towards the down payment on his equipment. His performance agreement requires that he purchase the new equipment totaling $35,000. He finances 80% of it, or $28,000. He's got to make that investment within 90 days. I'm sorry, that 30 full-time employees is 3 full-time employees, not 30. That's my fault. Check gets payable to the bank. And this again was approved by COSA DC August 26, 2015, and ratified by City Council September 15th, 2015. And you have a copy of the agreement in the packet.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Is there any public comment? Anything additional from the board?
Move approval of this attached agreement.
Okay, very good.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, seconded by Scott. And with that, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Very good. We're now down to 5F, consideration and input from the board for the development of a COSA DC fiscal year 2015-2016 program of work. Presentation by our director, Roland Pena. Hello, Roland.
Hey, good morning. Okay, let me test the equipment. Okay. Board members, you may recall that in March of 2014, we gathered to prioritize some goals, and we brought in a consultant, Alicia Cook, from Opportunity Strategies, and she helped facilitate the discussion in a board workshop, and we looked at the goals that were prioritized by the prior board. I think those were prioritized from the strategic plan, and there was about 11 goals. So we looked at those sort of to create a roadmap for us in terms of what we wanted to accomplish. And as I noted last month, I think we have accomplished so much. In your packet, you have those goals that we took a look at, and we did focus on certain aspects. We wanted direction. We wanted to make sure that it agreed with the City Council's goals and strategies. And then we wanted to put more focus on business and workforce development and on the business retention and expansion. And we wanted to be more proactive as opposed to reactive. But I think at this point now, having been through this process over some 18 months, the City Council ratified our prioritized goals in May of 2014. And I provided to you our accomplishments during the course of those 18 months. I mentioned to you that I wanted to take a different approach. And so keeping in mind what we've always talked about, in my mind, this is what we think about when we're talking about economic development, and at least what I've heard from the board members. We want to increase the tax base. We want to improve wage salaries. We want to reduce the tax burden on the residential taxpayer, and we want to attract new businesses from our targeted industries. We want to create new jobs, and we want to retain our existing businesses and jobs. And so at this point, I'm asking for feedback. If you believe that there are other guiding principles that we need to look at, I'm open to that. But that, to me, seemed to capture what we've talked about. If I'm missing something, please let me know. If not, I'll give you an opportunity to kind of put that in the parking lot, and if you think of something as we move forward, then I'll be glad to take that feedback. So with that in mind, my thought was, and I've discussed this with our team, that we focus on 7 strategies and create a program of work. What we've done in the past is, as the partners, and as we looked at those prioritized goals, we worked to achieve those goals. However, a lot of those goals are out of our control, out of the economic development's control. You know, those specific goals are assigned to different partners, and they perform, and then I have to do a lot of the documentation. And hence you saw the long reports and a lot of documentation that we do, and I wanted to simplify that process. So in talking to our department, here are the strategies that we felt are our main focus. Business retention and expansion, we've talked a lot about that. I think we've made that a priority. We continue to move forward on that. We want to continue that focus. Workforce development infrastructure, We need to make sure that our workforce continues to be well-trained, skilled, so that they can have those higher salaries, and it is attractive for anyone that we're trying to attract to this area. New business development, what I'm talking about there is the entrepreneurial spirit. We do have a business factory, and we want to develop from within this community. There are some innovative ideas. We have folks out there that potentially can start up a new business, and we have a tool that we can use in the form of that business factory to help facilitate that process. So it's creating new businesses from within the community, and so that helps supplement what we're trying to attract. Number 4, that's the attraction portion, industry target marketing. We'll be working with our partners, but we believe that we can set some goals in that area. We want to get more aggressive in that area, and I'm going to share more about that. Research. We have a need for a lot of research and analysis. We have information studies that have been conducted for us in the past, and in particular the strategic plan showed, just to give you an example, a labor market survey. What does our labor do in terms of who commutes, how much of the labor force is commuting outside, how much of that is employed within San Angelo, the demographics. All of that information has become outdated, and we need to continuously keep that updated for industry that we're trying to attract. I believe, and I think we talked about it last time, I think Director Hebert mentioned it, that we can utilize Angelo State University to help us with that information. They can help us keep that information updated. I think now that we've developed the business plan competition, kicking that off, we've developed a good relationship with ASU, and I think we can continue to utilize them and their business college to help us achieve that. In fact, I've kind of hinted about that, and Vince is very receptive. So it doesn't require a PhD. We just need to keep that information updated. In addition to the research, if and when we have businesses that are looking at San Angelo, and you have heard this in the past, that a lot of times these businesses have done their research. They come ready, they already know about San Angelo. Well, we want to do the analytics to capture who's looking, how much time are you spending on our website, what is your interest? Is it the labor force, or is it those incentives, or is it available sites and locations? So we want to go behind the scenes and take a look at the analytics, and let us be proactive and shoot that email to that either real estate consultant, site selector, or company representative. And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about research. Infrastructure, obviously the industrial park, we want to continue to develop the industrial park, and we need to have the infrastructure ready there so that we have the available land that's certified. Also, in addition to certification, is the workforce. We talked about trying to get the workforce certified, and we're excited about getting businesses and employers involved into that aspect. But there are other locations within the city that potentially can help develop the tax base, that could potentially help create jobs, that we potentially have another project besides the industrial park. So I'd like to make sure that we keep that in mind and are able to react, are able to have that planning mechanism to think ahead of those potential projects. Partner activities is last. I think the best way for us to document that is when new projects develop. We are, in terms of the workforce development, we have a partnership there. In terms of targeted marketing, we have a partnership there. But there could be an additional partnership project that'll come up. Goodfellow Air Force Base, the Chamber's been doing such a great job with them, but if there's a potential project with them, it's a project that we can partner on, and we'll document that. So those are 7 strategies that we've come up with. If you happen to think of others, let me know. If you're okay, I'll keep moving. So what we've talked about in the past is developing some metrics. So this is going to be different from what we've utilized in the past, but taking our first strategy, business retention and expansion, We want to be able to assist the development of and expansion of these businesses. And so I've said, I just threw out a number, but I'm welcome any input that you may have, 2 to 4 local expansions in the community, and have perhaps 50 to 100 new jobs created in addition to so many retained. So that's what the metrics would look like. Here's the goals. Here's the capital investment that we're seeking. Here's the number of jobs we want to retain, and these are the number of jobs that we want to create through that process. In addition, we'll develop who does what. What is the task? For example, Bob is the coordinator of that specific strategy, so he may say, I want to conduct a business retention and expansion survey. I'd like to pursue a CEO appreciation dinner where we can educate them about our program and services, and we'll identify what that task is, who's responsible, when it's expected to be completed. But this, I think, would be something that we could provide to you quarterly, and I think it tightens up the measurement, and it has much more meaningful numbers. I'm not sure if this is if you're comfortable with this approach, but it's different from what we had. Workforce development, supporting the development of 2 to 3 training and workforce certifications to ensure an educated, trained, and skilled workforce for business and industry. An example would be, and obviously these are just off the top of my head, this is just brainstorming, but what I'll do next month is I'll put more information to it and bring to you a program of work that is ready for you to approve. What I'm doing right now is just kind of seeking your reaction and seeking additional input. But in this case, we would work with Howard College or Angelo State University to develop a curriculum or a project to help enhance the training of our workforce. Pursuing the career readiness certification, the ACT workforce development, and then having companies adopt that certification process. Very simple, but at least it provides the metrics. New business development, foster entrepreneurship and new business development. Business factory referrals to the business factory. We talked about, we really don't have a pipeline. And so if we can create those referrals into the business factory and create those companies that are waiting in line to be nurtured, be admitted into the business factory, or it could mean that if we create enough of a pipeline that we could look at improving that backside of the BRC that is unimproved at this time. But it creates some forethought. The business plan competition that we have underway, we may decide that we may want to do 2 business plan competitions in the future. They may be geared differently. Or we may decide maybe there's another tool out there that's available, and I hate to but since we're brainstorming, I think it's okay. I was sharing with Nora that I was at a recent conference, and one of the business factories or business incubators directors was there, and he was telling me how they do a virtual incubation. Which was very interesting to me, but it's just ideas that are out there that we need to explore and take a look at. So at the end of the year, you'll have results. Here's the one on target marketing. Assist in the marketing activities. We know that the chamber is our primary marketing, hired to do that, but we want to, let's put a little bit more meat into that. We want to generate 25 to 30 response packages for prospects. We want a result of 5 to 10 prospect visits, and we want 5 to 10 formal proposals going out, and we want the relocation of 2 to 3 primary employers and attracting a certain amount of jobs and perhaps a certain amount of sales of land in the industrial park. So this is a little bit more aggressive, and that may be too aggressive. I haven't shared that with Michael before coming in here, but because this is brainstorming and I just wanted to put it out there. But again, we create some metrics. Next month I'll provide who does what and what is our time frame. But by the end of the year, we should know whether we achieved what we set out to do. The proposals, the prospects, the site visits, sale of land, so forth. Infrastructure. We're going to provide infrastructure to San Angelo Business and Industrial Park and other locations where business development has the potential of a high economic impact. Kind of what I was telling you about. We know that the industrial park has an opportunity. We can pursue grants for the funding of that infrastructure. We can look at funding phase 2 and creating development agreements perhaps in other high potential impact areas within the city. Research. Maintain the economic trends for the city and the metropolitan statistical area, benchmark trends against other cities, states, and U.S. That's the other thing, is benchmark and making sure that we understand our competitiveness, and we'll utilize different tools. One of them is the small business assessment polling that SBDC provides. We'll work with them. We do have a subscription to Moody's analysis that helps us keep track of what the economy is doing, so we'd like to stay ahead of that, and then keeping our demographic data updated. Partner activities, this is the one that is sort of weak because I don't have the potential projects as of yet, and I need to visit with our partners, but it's all about collaboration, utilizing that partnership to develop new projects so long as they align with the strategic plan and this program of work. And so I'll try to put some more information to this and how we'll achieve that. If we have some potential projects now, if not, it'll be something that'll develop during the course of the year. Again, what I'm thinking of is a calendar year as opposed to a fiscal year, just because it'll align better and we can produce perhaps a joint annual report. Administration, this is ensuring that our Office of Economic Development is professional, efficient, well-trained, and compliant with state and city regulations. Obviously, what I put up there is the specific training, technology and processes for new efficiencies, and making sure that we're compliant. But we should be able to have some results on that. That is all I have for you in terms of what I was thinking of in terms of the program of work. I did capture what the 8 goals were of the original strategic plan. If you want to look at that, just to refresh your memory. If not, I'm open to take any feedback and input you may have.
Oh, and I like that. I would term it a dashboard that we can look at and see quickly, just from a policy standpoint, that, in my opinion, is what we ought to be focusing on, is policy and not operation. I like it from that standpoint, so we can see if policy is
Excellent.
moving along. So I like it from that standpoint.
I like it for the simple, easy to follow.
Yeah.
I think you've captured
It's
the
not like that
essence
grid
of
thing
where
we-
we need to go.
Well, it will hold us all accountable, the board, as we say these are our priorities and the areas on which we would like to focus. But then that in turn holds you accountable, then you in turn can hold others accountable. So I like it from that standpoint too.
Okay. That's all I have. Director Carrasco, sound like you...
It's very similar to a format we have through our industry, and it's just a good tracking record. Like Tommy said, it's a dashboard that you use, and you can see open leads, closed leads, things of that, and you can. I like the direction it's going.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Anything from the public? Okay, Roland, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was not an action item, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We are now up to 5G then. Consideration and approval of authorizing staff to sign a contract of project management software. Pardon me, I'm going to restart that. In this dim light, I'm not reading well. Consideration and approval of authorizing staff to sign contract for project management software in the amount not to exceed $3,000. And Roland Pena is going to continue.
Last month, I mentioned to you that our workload continues to increase. And we have multiple projects now in different stages. I think what we find the most challenging is, making sure that we're following state regulations and compliance, and making sure that, because it does have a sort of a two-step process in that we have to get it ratified, and so there's a lot of timing involved, and multiple projects, but we have a need to be able to manage those projects. I am sensing that at times, some of these projects fall through the cracks, and we're having to reshuffle. And we understand that as a department, but we understand that our job is being done well enough that we're creating the workload. And so what we've all agreed upon, where consensus is, that as long as we're doing our work, you're going to continue to see that workload increase. However, we need a management system to be able to manage these projects. At the city, a director has a certain authority to okay some of these expenses, and I believe this is well under the director authority to approve. However, we like to bring the majority of these expenses to you so that you're aware and understand what we're doing. But in this case, we're seeking approval to be able to sign a contract, and we'll test this new software. It is not top of the line. It is about middle of the road. But I've done a lot of research. I spent some time with ASU, who has adopted WorkZone, and met with their project management team, and met with some of their department heads who are utilizing this. They like it. It's simple to use. We're able to negotiate a contract and what we want in the contract. So what you have here is just their initial contract, but I'm going to ask for specific things in the contract, for specifically protection under this contract, because these projects are sensitive to us. But I think in this case, it'll help us manage these projects. The other thing is, we'll have our marketing person, the chamber, will be part of this, so that we can all hold each other accountable. He can see where the status of our projects, and we can see the status of his projects. If some of those projects are delayed, someone can, like myself, can be able to say, to ask, why is this project on hold, or what's the status of this, or why, and so forth. But it's just an easier way for us to make sure that we dot the I's, cross the T's, and move the project along expeditiously the way they should, because that's what business wants. And so I see this as a tool. It's relatively inexpensive. There are some lower line models that are free, but I would prefer to use this system if the board would allow.
Would this be a one-time fee, an annual fee? What's that gonna
Well, I just told you everything that this is, it's $200 per month, so it's a $2,400 annual cost. They charge $400 for one-time setup and training, and they're available 24 hours if we need them, so that would include weekends. It allows five users, and they provide the training and support. Pretty good size storage in terms of filing, and it is on a cloud. And if there are any upgrades, it includes the upgrades, so there's no additional cost for any of the upgrades.
I'd move approval to authorize staff to sign the contract for project management software not to exceed $3,000.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion by the board? Any other questions? Any questions or concerns from the public? Then I will call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, board.
And we look forward to seeing good results from that. Yeah. Okay, that concludes our regular agenda. We are now going to go into closed session. Executive session under the provisions of the Government Code, Title V, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, Exceptions to Requirements that meetings be open under the following sections. Section 551.071, paragraph 2, to consult with attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter regarding matters related to litigation pertaining to Martin Hirschfield Energy Systems, LLC et al. Section 551.072, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property at the industrial park. Section 551.087, to discuss an offer of financial or other incentives to companies with whom the City of San Angelo Development Corporation is conducting economic development negotiations, in which the City of San Angelo Development Corporation seeks to have, locate, stay, or expand in San Angelo. We are now in executive session, and the time is 9:10 a.m. We are out of executive session. It is now 9:32 a.m., and we have just one item to bring forth. Consideration of authorizing the negotiation and execution of a real estate sales contract for the sale of approximately 12 acres at a sale price of $25,000 per acre of land at the San Angelo Business and Industrial Park to prospect project name 2015-310W, to be approved by the Costa DC Board in a future meeting for recommendation to the City Council to ratify. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Scott, a second by Tommy. And is there any public comments? Any other board concern? Let's call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Bob, were you prepared to talk about that?
Not at all.
I jumped right into it, didn't I? Okay, we do have one more item on the agenda, but before we go forth with that, I do have a point of order. As president, I think I have the authority to do that. We are just a few days away from Thanksgiving. And I would like to personally say that I am thankful for this staff, all of the city offices that support our operation, and I am honored and privileged to serve the city of San Angelo in this capacity, to be stewards over these funds. We do so with humility. We have a lot of laughter. We've got a good team. We have a lot of fun. We even joke with our techies over here. But we appreciate you too, and we are thankful. And with that, let us adjourn with a spirit of thanksgiving. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.